A lot at stake for the Canadian men's national team to get into the next World Cup in Russia, and a lot at stake to try and bring home overseas some players that have now decided not to, but maybe in the future will come. And one guy that I saw a wonderful piece posted up a couple hours ago, right, is Fraser Aird. And joining us right now, the guy that has put pen to paper, is Daniel Squizzato of MLSsoccer.com. Daniel, welcome.
Thanks as always for having me, Anthony. I think technically it would be putting fingers to keyboard, but I'll take it all the same.
That shows you how old I am and the white hair I am. I'm possibly double your age, but that's how far I go back with that saying. Daniel, let's talk about this. I mean, I am really shocked that this is coming out today, and the reports are coming out that Fraser Aird. I'm happy about it. But I got off the phone, no word of a lie, at about 1:30, and I can't mention his name, but he's one of the coaches on the staff of Canada. And we were talking about players overseas, and we were talking about players, and we were digging up names, and this name never came out. And I'm shocked to hear that Fraser Aird is possibly thinking about coming to play for Canada. How did this all come about?
Well, I mean, as for the news coming out today, it did originate with a report in the Scottish Sun, which then got picked up by a number of other sources in the UK, and that's the information that I was going by. I tried to get some kind of confirmation on it from the CSA, but as you would expect, they didn't comment on it at this point. For folks who maybe haven't read what I wrote today, the story is that reportedly, according to these reports in the UK, that Fraser Aird is going to be called up to the men's national team's friendlies next month. Now, he was actually on Canada's preliminary roster for last year's Gold Cup, the initial 35-man roster. Colin Miller, the coach at the time, got in touch with his team, tried to see if he was available or interested. He did not join the team at the Gold Cup, of course. But nothing. I think what people need to, we maybe need to slow down a little bit here before we get a bit ahead of ourselves. These reports that came out today are that he'll be getting the call. We don't know for sure yet. Will he answer the call? Will he be there? Will he play? Even if this does come to fruition, even if Fraser Aird is there with Canada next month, they are friendly matches, and so players are not cap-tied in friendlies. He has played for Scotland's under-17, under-19 teams in the past. He is eligible for both countries, and under the FIFA rules, you can play for a country that you're eligible for. You are not cap-tied to one country until you play for the senior national team in an official game. So I just want to make sure that everybody knows kind of where this is at right now in terms of where things are. But again, to see a kid like Fraser Aird, to see his name even come up as a potential for somebody to come and play for Canada, it's always good to know that might be possible, because you know as well as I do, and I'm sure your listeners do, that over the last decade, Canadian fans have had to endure a lot of homegrown players who've chosen to play for other countries. And if it turns out that this is a case where a player has other options and they choose the land of their birth, I think that would definitely be some long-awaited good news for fans of Canada.
Daniel, I've had 3 extended interviews with Fraser Aird. One at the OSA, Ontario Soccer Association, where we sat down for almost 45 minutes and went in depth. And then I had him on here on Red Card a couple times. And I got to tell you, after the taping was done here in Toronto when we did the interview with Fraser Aird, I practically begged him to give Canada the opportunity, because I'd love to see him and cheer him on. And I was left away with that interview and the ones of him on my show here on Red Card, Daniel, to be honest, with a guy that is left the door very open, very little for Canada, because of the bad taste that he has in his mouth from things that have happened in the past at the province and at the national level. It still is in his mind. That's why I'm really skeptical about this, but I'm happy.
Right, and I mean, this is a familiar story that we've heard in a lot of cases where players get, maybe they feel as though they've been overlooked at their local clubs or their provincial levels or from the youth teams or whatever the case may be. And we've seen cases like this in the past where players, that may leave a sour taste in their mouth as it relates to representing Canada. I mean, as it relates specifically to Fraser Aird. He's 19 years old now. He's been at Rangers since he was 16, so he went over in 2011. And this is a kid. His parents are Scottish, big Rangers family. And so you have to imagine that he's a teenager. He's over there playing in Europe. He's been there for 3 years. And, there's a lot of pressure from his teammates, maybe from his coaches, from other people around him, possibly from his family. I don't know his family, so I don't want to make any assumptions, but I would imagine that they wouldn't mind if he did choose to represent Scotland. So, for a kid over there on his own, there's a lot going through his mind. And if there is also, as you say, the additional issue of negative experiences with the Canadian system, that's going to play into his decision making as well. But I mean, my perspective, and I've said this on your show before, is I think at this point, if there are players out there with multiple possibilities of teams they can play for that do choose to play for Canada, and they make the decision, they show up, they put on the jersey, I think at that point, no matter what they've done in the past or whatever their process to getting there has been, they deserve our full backing, our full support. But if a player is going to choose not to play for Canada, or they're going to, for whatever reason, not answer the call when it's given, then honestly, I would prefer to focus on players who do answer that call and who do show up and put the jersey on it. So